afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you guys at this New Day Conference, a New Day Israelite Conference. Please, everyone, give yourself a round of applause for coming on out and for making this day a reality. I definitely have to thank the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries and Elder Shadrach Porter for having this vision of a New Day Conference, for us coming together. For so many years, I thought about this dream, what can we do as Israelites? Especially when you come to know who you are. And you think about, wow, there's so many people out there that know they're Israelites now, because like we heard yesterday in 1983, when Elder was teaching, there really wasn't that many people that looked like me that knew that they were an Israelite. As a matter of fact, I understand in 1983 that Elder Shadrach started his vision from a place called Earl's Court, a street here in Toronto, Canada, even his very basement, and traveled with his vision to different buildings to now us owning this beautiful building for all Israelites and people to come back to worship their holy God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Anyone from all backgrounds? Yes, you can clap for that. Yes, Dana, thank you. People of all backgrounds. I admire the work that's been put in. Again, I was going to talk about the Israelite women. Again, you have to have vision, goals, and reality. I was listening to you, Jaden, speaking on behalf of the youth, and I really appreciate what you had to say. You had a lot of points. I agree, Top Boy, the reason why it is one of my favorite shows, it is because it brought different people from different backgrounds. For instance, for those of you that used to watch a show called The Wire, and I talk a lot about television and movies because I do work in that industry, the show called The Wire was really based on more Americans and the children of slavery in America. What I appreciate about the show Top Boy is it also focuses on the children from different areas of the globe, like Africa, Jamaica, the Caribbean. I didn't have Canada in there, but I appreciate the different dialects. It just brought a lot more authenticity and relatableness to it, you know what I mean? And it told the stories of so many different lives of different backgrounds, of us really trying to survive. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it because it shows our resilience, and it also shows the resilience of women that look like me. It's 2019. And in 2019, in the recent years, there are women that don't look like me, that do things to look like me. And they capitalize on it. They make billions. I'm not going to call any names. But there's a young lady that put out a product to, Botox, lip fillers, injections, and is now a billionaire. A billionaire. Look at what, the age of 20, 21? A billionaire. Man, black women had big lips since creation. There's women that, there's an industry out there of people doing things to their rear end to look like us. And it's become an industry. For so many years, I feel like as an Israelite woman, and I'm going to use that term instead of black woman, that we've been plagued for so many years with the way that we wear our hair, that we weren't beautiful enough. I mean, there was an episode once about a black woman being the ugliest woman on the front of a magazine that went out to the public. And now, here today in 2019, everyone wants to look like the black woman. So it led me to think, well then, what's our worth? What's our value? Do we value ourselves? For so many years, we tried to look like other people. This is truly a new day. And I say this because it is a new day not to reclaim the color of our skin, but to reclaim that we are the Israelite woman. The Israelite woman is powerful. And we need to reclaim that. And so many different facets of our life. The way we look, the way we carry ourselves, and whatever we need to do to let our voices be heard out there in society. We need to grow, we need to elevate, and again, I'm tired of sick and tired of people trying to put us down when we are the ones that lift everyone up. And it's now our time, Israelite women, to lift each other up. No more of what I heard yesterday. They didn't use the word exactly crabs in the barrel mentality, but the nicking and knacking and pulling and the gossiping at each other, but really coming together as women to create, to grow, and to elevate. So with that, I'm going to talk about a few things. One thing about the Israelite women, we know, they raised the greatest nation on earth, right? The Israelite nation. They raised the children of the promise. They're supposed to raise the children of the promise. We know that the Israelite woman is the first teacher. Here at Israelite Nationwide Ministries, Elder Shadrach had a vision. He established groups or educational programs such as React and Rise for young people to have a voice, to really understand how important education is, and to take it seriously, and then to use their voice and make change in the world, so that they don't succumb to whatever the world puts out there. Our teacher Jaden spoke about mothers in different areas, I think Brixton and Hackney, and I don't remember the other places. And I've watched tirelessly the mothers, day in, day out, work for their 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 children, raising an Israelite child to live in this world. How many of us in here are mothers of Israelite children? Would you say it's an easy job to do? No, it's not, right? There are many different challenges that the child faces. One of the very easy ones is simply that child being in school. 9 times out of 10, that child's probably going to be the only Israelite child. What does that also mean? When they're at school, they can no longer participate in what? The holidays of the world. Halloween, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day. They have so many, Thanksgiving, all those holidays we don't participate in. But the school system doesn't understand that. And nor do they care, correct? Thank you, Elder Michael. I've seen other mothers who have used other people, like Muslims, to try to advocate for their Israelite child. So, if your child now has to go get lunch, right? They do the lunch programs at school, and the only thing I hear is the Israelite child, the mother would say, well, you know what? The diet that the Muslims have, that's what my child is going to emulate. Can you please give them the Muslim menu? But we all know that's not completely accurate, right? Not completely accurate. Why am I bringing all these up? The point is, when we're coming together and to plan, and we have these groups in place, I propose that we establish from the womb up until an adult a group like Jack and Jill, our Mocha Mothers. How many of you have heard of Jack and Jill? Mocha Mothers. Okay, these are, yes, because you're from the U.S., exactly. Mississippi by way of New York, New Jersey. Okay. These are organizations of women that look like me that advocate for children. However, we don't necessarily share the same beliefs. I propose that from the womb up until the age of 3, that we have a mother's group that takes care of the children. This support group can be established for Israelites and Israelites from all over, every background, and it could be entitled something like Seeds of Israel. Once they graduate from Seeds, and in this group, we can come up with points about how it can be. What does a mother do? We groom the mother, we counsel them. This is how you should take care of a baby, what you should do when they turn this age, and then graduate them to React. and keep advocating together. And to not only just do it for the school system, but also for the community. To have them go out, to have play days and say, hey, this is that Israelite group that does this in their community. It's a way of networking. It's a way of understanding who's out there that has the same struggles just like me. How can we come together and overcome? Am I alone on that? In raising that child, I think, obviously, we cannot rely on the school system to educate the child because our standards are different, very different. You know, we don't really, I mean, there's some children that are born that know exactly, you know, my child's going to grow up and be this. You know, they may be very academically inclined. And then other children may not be. So it's up to us to say, you know what, yeah, you may grow up and achieve A, but as an Israelite, we want you to break the standard. Break the standard. There is no ceiling. Break it. Establish. Create your own. You know, a lot of times we say we don't need to reinvent the wheel, and sometimes we just need to shatter the wheel completely and start all over because our children just learn differently. You know, I'm tired of seeing on the internet people talking about our children having ADD and this and that, and now they riddle our children with pills. It's ridiculous. Our children just learn differently. I mean, the scriptures say that the Israelite women, you know, our womb was rambunctious and vivacious. There's no one like the Israelite women that can give birth like these children. So of course they're not going to sit in a classroom with their hands clasped and just obeying and nodding. No, they want to run around, they get dirty, they learn differently. That's why we climb higher. That's why we're so peculiar. That's what makes us different. In fact, that's what makes us holy. I really, really implore and stress the fact that we do need to come together and say, hey, the time is now. The time is to stop everything we've been doing, and the time is now, and focus on our family and our children. There was a time when there was laws made for women not being able to allow to do much, actually. We know there were establishments like Planned Parenthood that would be placed specifically in neighborhoods that we lived in so that our children would not be born. We know that this is not a new thing. We know that it's been happening since the times of Pharaoh. We know that even now there are laws being placed for other women to say, hey, you can't do abortion anymore. That's not because of us at all. It is our duty as women to really, really raise our children to be more than just, like it was said yesterday, basketball players and rappers. You know, it really is our duty. The horizon is so big. The sky is so colorful. And it doesn't just take the mother to do it, it takes the entire village. I appreciate the days of old, growing up, watching my aunties and my uncles live in my household as an extended family, and listening to my grandmother pass down the old traditions. Hey, don't crawl on your knees. Hey, do this. Hey, eat that. If you're sick, maybe pick a mint leaf out of the back, you know, and telling me about the different types of plants. But those things are lost now. And it's time for us to really resurrect that culture and bring it into this new day. To say, hey, this is valuable. It's not lost. It is valuable. We want to raise our children, like Teacher Jaden said, to really grow up and just have ownership. Have ownership, because when you own, you can just do whatever it is you need to do. Like Jacob said, I live in New York, I actually moved back to New Jersey. But, you know, it's something. Now that I am back in New Jersey, Brooklyn is filled with all kinds of bazaars. And I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that when I drive through the streets of their community, there is a moment of, wow, this should have been us. If I'm going shopping on a Friday at a store, I'm not even going to plug that name because I see the video. I don't want it to go out there. You know, if I go to a store and it's owned by a bazaar, they shut down by 2. No questions asked. 2 p.m. closed, Friday to Sunday. I am waiting for that day, and I pray that that day is now, that we raise children or support our youth to do exactly that. This is not the days of the 1960s and 50s. You know, this is the day of technology and internet. So our youth can own it now. They can own it. I mean, I'm happy to see it. Young children that looks like us saying they're owning at 12 and 13. I'm sure we've all seen that on Facebook. We recently were at Remember the 400, and a young boy named Mike had his own vending machine company, and I believe he was like 12 years old. I was moved by that. I will be even more moved when I see Israelite children doing those things. And he didn't just come up with that, right? He had to have parents to raise him and to teach him. Teaching, what does that mean, owning so young? Now you get to learn about commerce really early. You get to learn about credit at a young age. Because most of us learned it, I guess, after college or 20 and went right where? Bankruptcy, am I the only one? But we learned credit very late. The understanding of the workings of business, you know, how all connects, how to market, what does it take, the man hours. And you know what, when you own your own business, it's more enjoyable. You know, when you work for someone else, you said you don't want to build up someone else's company because you want to build your own. It's enjoyable because you will put so many hours into it, so much sweat equity, and you won't even feel like you're working because you enjoy it so much, because it's yours. You know what I mean? And that's how we have to raise our children. Oftentimes I speak with my friends, and we talk about the Khazars and how they send their children out into the community and they're dressed in a suit and a briefcase. And they'll say maybe to their parents, I don't want to wear this, I don't want to wear this. You know, and the parent will say, no, you're going to wear that and go to school because look around you. You're going to own everybody else and they're going to work for you. That's the mindset that the parents have drilled into their children at the age of 5. We used to be that. It wasn't so very long ago. You know, we had, civil rights and all of that kind of ruined everything. We had families that were just in agriculture. Then everyone went up north and our farms just disappeared. You know, I recently went to Sag Harbor in the Hamptons, and the area of the Hamptons is built up. It's looked at as a place like, wow. But the children grew up after the slaves went there and established it. The children grew up and lost the value, no longer saw the value in their community or how hard their parents worked and what they worked for. So other people have come in now to the Hamptons to take over. So in educating our children, we teach them ownership, but for legacy, for generations and generations. Our visions should be for not just now, but for 20 years from now. No, this stays with us. We're not going to create headphones and then sell it for $1 billion. What happens later? I've never seen anyone else establish something and then sell it for $1 billion. At least they must have some sort of big royalty payment on the back end, right? I stress it because I am tired of seeing, and hearing the same stories over and over. I'm tired of seeing it, I'm tired of hearing it. Like you, Jaden, I grew up in a community like yours. I had friends that came to a demise of death or jail at very young ages. No teenager should have to go through that. Even though I see on television, I am kind of tired of seeing that on television. As much as I enjoy Top Boy, I am tired of seeing that message, that consistent message being put out there that if we are not rappers or basketball players, then we are in jail or doing drugs. I am tired of seeing it. I want to ask the mothers to really, let's come together to establish this body, this governing body, this motherhood, these mothers coming together to raise children, to say, hey, we're changing that narrative, we're changing that message, and we're going to be consistent in raising up God's children of the promise, the holy nation, to be better than what you are putting on us. What you're projecting on us is not who we are. It's a new day, man. Let's just break away the shackles. Get rid of it. It's a new day. I also want to talk about 2019, being an Israelite woman, the different facets, like I said. Being a mother is not an easy task in today's world. In the 1950s, you may have just stayed home and did what? Take care of house and raise children. In today's society, it's not quite the same. In fact, it's very different. We live in a society where there's so many things put upon us that it requires both parents sometimes having to go out there and work. So now the Israelite woman has to evolve and even adapt. And that's okay, because we can do that. We're great at multitasking. We're great at calculating, and we're great at having vision. What I would like to see in the future for Israelite women working in the workplace or whatever it is that we do is just really doing something for us. As much as I appreciate Black Lives Matter, I would like to see that narrative change to say, hey, these Israelite lives matter. Or the rights of an Israelite woman. What are the rights of an Israelite woman? Because the Bible says we're so wonderful. And I'm sure the God of Israel would look down and say, He's not going to choose the worst woman to establish His holy nation. He chooses the best of the best. What are the rights of the Israelite woman, and who is going to fight for us? Because our men used to go out to war and fight for the family, the woman and the children. He defended not only his family, but his community and then the nation at large. It is our duty as women to support our men in all the tasks that they put out there, and it is our men's job to even respect the women. To really stand side by side and play out our roles in our society today, to really go out there and say, I have a voice, and how we can affect change as Israelites wherever you are working is try to be in a position where you can affect change and have power to affect change. Let's be honest, not everybody is going to own. Not everybody knows how to own. Not everybody wants the workload of owning. And if we're all owners, then who are the workmen? Is it other nations? I know you'd like that on the Michael. Being creative in our approach and going out there, I really enjoy seeing when I'm on the workforce and I run into people that I see something on them, whether it's a necklace or they have it in their name. I say, oh, I see you. I recognize you. Coming together on that common ground that we both know we're Israelites when I'm out in the world, there's something good about that feeling. It means I'm not alone. You know, it makes it a little easier to go to the food truck to get lunch. You know, there's strength in numbers. And that's what I appreciate about this conference, is that the very few of us, we can be very powerful. But it's going to take for us to be very consistent, to be very respectful, and to be very honest with one another and how we can make change, affect change. What does it look like? How can we advocate for each other? When the world is beating us up, when the world has placed laws on the woman, whether you can, pants is the new thing for women, whether you can work, there was a time women couldn't vote. There was a time a woman couldn't work. There was so many laws, a woman couldn't own property. There was a time when a woman could not do so many things. Now it's a new day. It's time for us to really be able to get into the boardrooms as Israelite women, to get into educational systems as Israelite women, to advocate, to be part of PTAs, and to be part of committees to advocate for our Israelite child. That's the only way we're going to affect change. I'm not disputing owning our Israelite school, but on the way to get there, we need to be in places for the now until we've gotten our school to affect the change. So what I'm asking today is for all of us to really just look inside and to challenge ourselves. Challenge what the naysayers are saying. Challenge what you've walked into a room and you maybe thought, hey, I expected to see 1,000 people. Challenge the mindset of, you know what? I am the one that is going to make a difference. I am one person that can lend a voice. I am one person that can bring both of my hands to help lift. And one by one, we can build. One by one, we can build. But if we're separated and if we're divided, it's going to make it that much more challenging and that much more difficult. And that's why I thank the Israelite nation for really just being here, and thanking Elder Shadrach Porter for putting the work in. I know I'm going to go down a little bit on history and memory lane here, but for really putting the work in and setting that example, yes. For really struggling, and who was presented with a lot of naysayers did it anyway. Elder Shadrach went out there to teach his own, but his own did not want to listen. He wrote books. No one wanted to publish them. So his vision was, you know what? I'll create my own publishing company, Fifth Grid Publishing. So now we're able to enjoy and read The Truth, the Lie, and the Bible, The Forgotten Israelites, The Israelites and the Damned, and The Spirit of Egypt in America. Those books, and that was the early years, those books have now transformed. They've translated. They've transformed to YouTube. So that people in Germany, people in Mississippi, people in Seattle, and these are places where I've spoken to people personally, so I'm not just throwing things out there, in Kenya, in Washington, in Maryland, in Baltimore, in California, in Sacramento, in Texas, Atlanta. Oh man, the list is so long. Because of the World Wide Web, these books have translated to YouTube, and his voice of teaching his own and others has now spread out worldwide. I definitely want to thank you, Elder Shadrach, for being consistent and having a dream, a vision, a goal, and making this now a reality. So I pray today that we take this time of all the planning and all the things that we're talking about, that we really put this in place and make it our reality. When I spoke about the mother and seeds of Israel and react and rise, those are things that Elder Shadrach had vision for already. Now we want to translate and reach the globe. Take our groups and say, hey, let's network, let's build, let's grow this Israelite community. but we need all of us to do it, because no one man can do it by himself. So this conference, I am very thankful for personally. I am looking forward to hearing from everybody and networking and just really hearing the ideas being presented to see how we can come together to really advocate for us as Israelites. Again, I do stress, I know we've heard it many times, again, not stressing doctrine at all. We know you do that and we do this. Okay, that's fine. But we all know that we're Israelites. At least we can start somewhere. Let's end the divide. Stop. It's a new day. End the divide. Let's work together and build. I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone. And with that, I say peace.